So you might remember a few weeks ago I said that the GameCube is one of the only consoles that I have left in this house at the minute, and I was going to do a follow-up to that GameCube video to show off some more great games for the system, but when I was recording the footage I was a little bit frustrated at the quality that was coming out of the capture card. So I had a look online and it turns out that some very talented people have actually deconstructed the official GameCube digital cables and made their project open source, and there's been some really good output from that. I picked up this device here called the Prism Hd Adapter off Amazon in hopes that it would improve the picture quality from the GameCube and in turn improve the picture quality for these videos. So I am super excited in this video to show you everything that this Prism Hd Adapter can do. Let's get started. Of course, this video is brought to you by Bifrost Bridge Studios. They're working hard on a sci-fi project called Gaia's Seed, and if you'd like to play a role in the story and be a cameo character, you can actually join them on their new Valhalla tier over on Patreon. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, definitely check out the links down below. Now on with the video. So although I did actually have really good SCART RGB cables for the GameCube, there were a few really frustrating things with it. For one thing, because it was a PAL cable, it can only do interlaced, whereas this, because it's a digital signal, can actually accept the NTSC progressive scan mode. But basically, thanks to this, and using a program called Swiss, which you can load using this here, you can actually output a much better image than you can just using a PAL GameCube on its own. So I'll start by showing you a comparison between the SCART cable that I've got now and this HDMI adapter using the Elgato capture card, which I use in this room here, plugged into my MacBook Pro. So have a look at these two and see if you can see the difference. So this is recorded using that SCART cable through the OSSC. As you can see, the picture quality is pretty good, but it's not really the best that you can get. And now if I zoom in a bit here, you can see that one of the problems was the fact that the OSSC doesn't really have any sort of de-interlacing, so the picture actually jumps up and down a little bit. Now compare this footage here with the HDMI cable's 480i mode, and you can already see that it's a lot clearer. And as well as that, because of the fact that this is coming out of the HDMI cable, it actually gets de-interlaced by the capture software, so you don't get that judder up and down like you did with the other one. And now let me show you what an insane difference putting it into progressive scan mode makes. So what you're seeing first is the 480i mode, and now I'm going to swap it round to 480p, and hopefully you can tell that the entire image looks just a lot clearer and the motion is a lot sharper as well. And if we zoom in, you can see just how much more detail there is on 480p versus 480i. Everything just looks so much clearer, almost weirdly so. When I first saw it, it kind of looked like there was JPEGs just stuck over the top of the gameplay, but there's no denying that it does look a lot nicer, and it's just such a shame that we never even got the option to display it like this here in the UK. And of course that is just using the really simple Elgato capture card in here, but I thought to take it even further I would take it into the living room and use the AverMedia 4K capture that I've got in my gaming PC. So that one can actually take in any HDMI signal and actually save it in 4K resolution. So I tried every different setting I could, and this was the best footage that I managed to get out of it. Okay, for this test I've changed everything to the maximum quality it can be. I've put the resolution on 4K. Keep the refresh rate the same, made the bitrate as high as it can go, change that to high quality instead of high performance, whatever that does, and I've left the audio the same, and that is NVIDIA. So let's apply those settings and see what happens. I presume the file size is going to be huge. Just wow, this looks absolutely insane. I was right, the file size was massive, so I recorded a minute and a half of gameplay and that came to 4 gig on its own. But as you can see, it's got rid of every little artifact in the movement. It looks perfect. I honestly think this is the best quality that you could possibly get out of the actual GameCube system. Another really cool thing that the Swiss program can do is actually force games to run in 240p, which is what things like the SNES and the Mega Drive used to run at. Now, it doesn't seem like it would have that much of an effect on GameCube games, but when you play either Game Boy games using the Game Boy Player or the Game Boy interface, which is something else that I would love to do a video on in the future, you can get super crisp, clear picture quality out of that, and it just looks absolutely stunning. Seriously, take a look at this. This is the best picture quality that I've ever got from a GBA or an original Game Boy game using an actual system and cartridge. And another really cool thing you can do with 240p and one of these HDMI adapters is apply scan lines to a 240p image on a game that should have originally been in 240p. So the example that I'm using here is Sonic Mega Collection, and playing Sonic 1 through Mega Collection in 240p just looks absolutely stunning. It looks even better than playing it on the original system. I was just amazed. This is like emulator quality, it really is. So there's so much you can do with this outside of just plug and play. There's also a load of different options in the menu, so let me show you what some of those are. One thing I found really annoying about this is the fact that the infrared receiver is actually on the back, so if you try and use the remote from this angle, it doesn't actually do anything, so you need to actually go behind the console and then press it for the menu to turn up. And here's what that menu looks like. It shows at the top the resolution that you're currently on, and the first option is line doubler. You can do this if it's an interlaced picture, and it will actually double the lines, although it does give you that juddery interlaced effect, or you can turn it off to allow your TV to interpret it. This is where you also get to choose what type of scan lines you want if you're on interlaced mode. Now next to that there's a few different video options modes. You can change the strength of the scan line, you can adjust things such as the contrast and the brightness, and you can also force it to display in certain modes as well, depending on what sort of TV you've got and what sort of capture card you're trying to use. You can also set individual profiles for all of the different resolutions, so that when you switch to that resolution in-game it will automatically apply any of the settings that you chose. There's also a few advanced options here which I really didn't look into that much. And of course it also gives you the option to store your settings so they're all set up ready to play straight away without having to open the menu every time. There was another really exciting thing that I figured out I could do with this, and that is the fact that you can actually use the analog and the digital output on the GameCube at the same time. So I can use the SCART cable that I already had on the CRT, which looks amazing, and then send the digital HDMI signal to the capture card and record it on the computer, so you've got the best of both worlds. You can play it on a CRT the way it was meant to be played, and you can capture it in a really good quality to display on a computer as well. I was personally absolutely blown away by the picture quality. It was leagues better than I could have ever even imagined. When I first booted up Burnout 2 on here and Progressive Scan using this cable, I actually said wow out loud. I was just blown away by it. If you'd like to get one for yourself, there is a link in the description, and it is an affiliate link, so I will get a tiny little percentage back if you do decide to pick one up. Of course, there are other options out there as well, so have a look online. If you search for GC Video, it's actually got a GitHub page, and there's quite a few different projects that all use the same code in the background. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you use to play your GameCube games, and don't forget to comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week for the next episode. Goodbye!